Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the greatest rock and roll stories in the universe, all from the fans' perspective. It's Rock Stories with the Brummster. Now, here's the host of the show, my rockin' daddy, the Brummster.
Hey, and that's with two M's as well, folks. If you see one M, get out of Dodge. What's happening? The Brummster here. Rock Stories with the Brummster. It's a podcast that was dreamt up in this old crazy brain of mine. I love seeing the different rock and roll shows on AXS and listening to the cool shows like Eddie Trunk on Sirius XM. And I love it. I love it, right? But how about from the fans' perspective, right? How about your perspective? I was at this concert and it was crazy. This or that happened, you know. I mean, Ted Nugent swinging across in his diaper he was wearing, you know, or whatever it was, right? It's like, what was your perspective? My wife and I, we went to a Sammy Hagar and Aerosmith concert. That's where I got hit with a lime in the back of my head for being too tall in front of a lady who... Anyway, during the coolest story ever, though, was we wandered off to go to the bathroom, to the restroom. And when we were done, we came walking back through trying to find our seats. We entered into this crazy kind of bar scene. And all of a sudden, all the walls are like this red velvet shining everywhere with these crazy lights. It's like we entered into a secret little world. And then we walked out. And there we were right in front of the stage. And there was Steven Tyler ripping his shirt off, going nuts. It was Aerosmith in our face. That was from a fan's perspective, not from a TV show, from the rocker's perspective, right? So we wanted to create a show for you, for the fans. We're glad that you were here. Rock Stories with the Brummster, Sundays at 11 at rockradio559.com. And also as well, you can check it out on demand at the Brummster Spotify channel and at anchor.fm and the Brummster Facebook page. Please get on there, like and subscribe. Okay, it's time for the guest today, to the victim, if you will. No, it's so cool. We don't hurt you. We have fun here, and we're so glad to have Don, a.k.a. the Sloppy Demon. He is Gene and Sloppy Kiss, an awesome tribute Kiss band. And also as well, Don is a rock and roll fan, just like you and I. And so he's got some cool, from his perspective, you know, memories and rock experiences. Welcome to Rock Stories with the Brummster, Don.
What is happening, Brummster?
That's what I'm talking about. I am happening. You're happening. What are you doing, man? You have got the coolest job being Gene in a band. I met Gene once and had him on the radio, did an interview back in the day, and the guy is amazing. How do you pull it off, man? How do you, because those are quite some platform shoes to fill, sir.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, I'll never say I'm anything compared to the almighty demon himself, but yeah, dude, that's crazy. The first time you put those 7-inch high heel platform boots on, I'll tell you,
it's got to be a balancing act, right?
You know, look, for anybody who hasn't done it, especially you men out there wearing high heels for 2 to 3 hours. It's a little difficult, and you are going to fall. I guarantee you. It's just how you fall. You got to fall with grace and style, just like the man, Gene himself.
Yeah, you know, I opened up the program kind of giving the audience an overview of the premise of the show through my eyes as a rock and roll fan as well, a DJ broadcasting since 1996. And my wife and I told the story. You were on hold there for a moment about going in and seeing that special red room, and then boom, there's Aerosmith, right? It really is amazing. Don't we all have these unique experiences? And oftentimes, I don't think that we see it quite as much as we should. But, you know, these bands, they have respect for one another. And so they'll decide who goes on first, who goes on second as far as opener and closer, right? And sometimes they alternate.
Right.
Well, I went and
Unless
saw...
you're Kiss.
Well, exactly. Aerosmith screwed up in Fresno one year, bro. Do you know what I'm talking about? When Kiss kills your senses with the fire and the rock, and then almighty Aerosmith comes out and you sit down and enjoy it like you're by the fire. You know, it just, no offense to Aerosmith, they rock, but after your senses are just rocked by Kiss, oh my gosh, right?
How do you follow? How do you follow Kiss? It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always tell all my buddies that are, out here in LA, Hollywood, Sloppy Kiss is not an opening act. We close the show.
You're much like the actual group itself. Same concept.
Yeah, that just goes back to the almighty teachings of Gene himself. Always be the loudest, always be out front. You're always the center of attention.
Right. And he create it. And again, folks, when they put on the makeup, it's you're an actor. You're becoming, it's like Adam West is not Batman. Batman is not Adam West. But yet
100%.
Yeah.
I go down to the Whiskey A Go Go every Monday night for my buddies in Fast Times that plays down there every Monday night, and I go down there as the Demon, and I've had to explain to women in my life that if you come down here with me, you have to understand something. I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to say things that you're not used to hearing me say. Women are going to be touching me in weird places. You need to accept it. It means nothing. It's just a character I'm playing.
That's it. Hannibal Lecter is not, right? It's so much different when you look at it in Hollywood versus when you see it on stage with rock and roll. But I can tell you that, and I'll be honest, the Brummster's a real character. He resides in me. It goes back to a part of my life in rock and roll radio. But the character that I am on the air, I happen to be more like that character in real life, But, we all have real jobs. We have to go and pay the bills and go shopping. You don't go shopping as Gene down at the Piggly Wiggly, right?
It's funny. It's funny that you say that, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've always wanted to go grocery shopping in my full Demon costume.
W-Trap. Not on Halloween, right? But like it's a regular day.
I'm talking the 4th of July or 3rd of December. I don't care. Imagine Gene Simmons in full costume walking through, pushing a frickin' shopping cart, picking up eggs and cheese and milk.
Oh, dude, and then go up to like the ice cream freezer and open it up and then just do your tongue at the steam coming out.
Yeah. I'm going to do it someday. I'll get it on video for you. I've been kicking that thought around for some time now.
That's kismet right there that I said that, and it's something you've already been boiling for a while. You've been cooking it.
Yeah, being a lifelong Kiss fan, I mean, I'm one of those weird kids that back in the 70s, for some reason, latched on to Kiss. And I don't know why it happened, to be honest with you. Maybe it was the makeup, but for some reason, in the 70s, they got this huge following with kids. So every chance we got, my brother and myself and the neighborhood kids would dress up or even just pretend to be them, and we would, put on fake little concerts. And I always had to be Peter Criss because I was the youngest one. I mean, Peter Criss doesn't want to be Peter Criss. So,
For real.
I got stuck being Peter Criss because I was the youngest guy. I always wanted to be the Demon, but that wasn't an option. Then when the action figures came out, we had those, and we'd put on concerts with those with flashing lights and playing our little 45s of Kiss, So, I can't explain where it came from. I have no freaking idea, man.
I can kind of throw in my 2 cents as a little bias shows up right now for radio broadcasting. Back in the 70s, folks, there was this thing called living DJs that were at a radio station 24 hours a day. And if they did not play a little cart, with the sounder, KJFX Fresno 95.7, the fuck. If they did not, KLOS, if they did not play that sounder, there was dead air. If they didn't hit the song, there was dead air. A DJ had to be there to board operate and or do a broadcast and be a radio personality, all live, answering phones, cutting tape, etc. And all of Kiss's and all these other kick-ass rock bands that were born out of the rock and roll of the 1970s that he's talking about, okay? At that time, we didn't have Google and YouTube and all these online free options and cool Sirius XM and rockradio559.com. We didn't have all that. We had to go to the Whiskey A Go-Go to see a band or go to the Hollywood Bowl or the Forum or whatever, or we had to listen to them where? On the radio, right?
Imagine that.
You're a kid. So what are you guys doing with no money? You're listening to these dudes on the radio, and the theater of the mind takes over. And would that kind of be a part of it, or am I a little also just biased in that aspect, being a radio dude as well?
Dude, I think, I mean, what else? There was no other option.
Nope.
We had nothing, you know. And then I think it was 1980. It had to have been 1980 when oh my God, Eric Carr joined, and they went on that TV show, Kids Are People Too. And that, I mean, why are you going on a kid show? But they knew for some reason that kids were into them. And man, there's money behind them kids. That mommy and daddy, mommy, I need this doll, I need this record. That's where the brilliance of Gene and Paul come into play, man.
And who's going to buy your record, your merchandise, and your tickets 4, 5, 6 years from now when you're putting out new albums and new stuff?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, dude, they got me to spend $5,000 to attend one concert here, recently. So, it paid off. They played the long game there. But they got their money out of me eventually. They
are master investors, not just rock and rollers, man.
Dude, I mean, I've seen them so many times now, but I paid for front row seats in front of Gene at Staples Center like 2-3 days before we went into the full lockdown, and it cost me $5,000 for 3 seats. And I went there, of course, in full demon makeup and boots and my 75 Alive black bat wing, dead center in front of Gene that whole night, man.
Oh man, how was that? Was there any interaction? You're so close.
Are you? Well, okay. So here's the funny thing. So there was I brought 2 of my closest friends with me, and of course one of them happened to be a hot woman. Gene didn't even see me, brother. He didn't even see me. He was like flicking that tongue and making full eye contact and pelvic thrust towards the beautiful young lady next to me. I don't think he ever saw me, man.
You were like a purse that she was holding, right?
If that. I mean, I don't know, dude. I swear, I don't think he ever even noticed that I was there.
You know how when you're on Zoom and you could do the virtual background so it blurs everything behind your body? You were just in the blur.
I was the blur, yes, sir. But I was very popular amongst the fans. So I got to say, Kiss fans, they're a unique, I guess, I don't want to say person, but people, obviously. Man, we're just weird, dude. We're weird compared to, I think, a lot of the other. I mean, how many people go out there dressing like the band they're going to see?
Right.
And like, or even just the fact, just putting the makeup on. I think is like. I mean, how do you dress like Mick Jagger? I guess that's kind of a stretch, but
right. I was thinking Eric Clapton came to mind, like hell yeah. It's the Claptonites, man, right?
You put on some jeans and a loafer and a nice corduroy jacket, I guess. I don't know.
Rush. I watched, and by the way, I'm gonna hold on. Don't throw stones at me, Rock Stories with the Brummster fans. I really love Rush, but let me explain something. Dawn was with us, by the way. Dawn from Sloppy Kiss. Kick-ass Kiss band. Don is with us. He plays Gene in the band, and he's telling us some kick-ass rock stories here today on Rock Stories with the Brummster at Rock Radio 559. Okay. So, Don,
Yeah.
like some of these concerts and stuff that Gene, he's got this connection with you and everything. But going all the way back, he toured more with, 2 or 3 acts at one time. And I saw for the very first time The Rush. It's like about a 3-hour documentary or rockumentary. And forgive me, folks, I used to hate, that's where I was going. I'm just afraid to admit it to people because now I have just the utmost respect for Geddy Lee. And Rush, they had this cool rockumentary, and after about 3 hours of watching that, I was like, wow, I went from not liking Rush. Like I would play Tom Sawyer or Working Man on the radio, and it would come on. I'm not going to change the channel. It's rocking. I like it. Well, I watched this, and it changes my whole opinion of Rush. I now listen to Rush differently, and I've fallen in love and am no longer annoyed, but actually love Geddy Lee's voice now. So just to tie all this together, I found out in this rockumentary that they went and toured with Kiss and no one else would bring them down from Canada. And Gene Simmons and Paul, they were just in love with this band called Rush, and they brought him on tour and basically helped Rush become even, more than they ever would have been if it had not happened. They got discovered so much sooner. And they talk about how they were so chill and quiet. So Gene and everyone would just be romping and sleeping with every woman in town, over here partying. And then over here, it was the Rush boys going to bed at 10 and not partying at all.
Yeah, but now you're saying that like it's a bad thing.
No, not at all. It's not a bad thing. No. Actually, I'm not saying it like that. What I'm saying is these two, now you see Kiss and they tour with one band or something like that as an
No, they don't tour with anybody now, bro.
It's just
Kiss.
Kiss.
You know who opens their show? Now they have some dude that paints paintings literally on stage before they come out. Right. That's what their opening act is. And I disagree with that 100%. When I saw them at Staples, they had David Lee Roth open for them, which was, I'm going to say mediocre at best. He still gets those high kicks in, but the band does 90% of the singing. And then David Lee Roth comes in with a couple like, ow, 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 and does his kicks, and that's about it. Well, so it was disappointing, but it was still cool to see him.
They used to tour with like 3 or 4 bands, and Rush was one of their. What's that?
The sad thing is being a lifelong Kiss fan, I didn't see them live until the original band reunited and was doing their farewell tour in like 2000. I saw them out at the Glen Helen Pavilion out in Devore off the 15.
Yeah, I toured with Nugent.
Yes, Nugent and Skid Row opened for them. And that was an amazing show. And then I saw them at the Forum. Def Leppard opened for them. Amazing. And then they had, again, Mr. David Lee Roth open, which I still loved it. That's my childhood. And then they went to this painting. Like I saw them, the last time I saw them was way down in it was like right on the Mexico border. I can't remember the name of the actual cities, like Cajon or whatever. In some amphitheater down there, I saw them last year, and they had a dude painting for like 40 minutes.
Can you believe it?
How do you open a show with a painter?
They're genius businessmen, Don. They're genius businessmen. Can you believe they're doing that?
Well, I guess they're paying him a hell of a lot less than they did David Lee Roth. That's for sure.
Right.
But yeah, dude, that was a little bit of a letdown. But the guy's talented. I don't want to take away from his talent. Do a full painting of like, he did like John Lennon upside down. He was doing this painting and then flips over to it's John Lennon. And then he does one of Kiss, of course. But, I mean, dude, I can watch paint dry on my own time, bro. Come on.
Yeah. I want to rock. So, like, what is your, like, Kiss, huge, obviously.
Yeah.
What are your other big loves of music?
Look, I was that kid in high school that was walking around with the hair down to my butthole, you know, the ripped jeans, the red flannel shirt with my concert tees. I'm glam rock, Poison, Rat, you know, Motley. I mean, that's my generation. That's my love. You know, I grew up down here in L.A. I was hanging out on the Sunset Strip, going to Gazzari's, of all things. That was my hangout before it got destroyed. And seeing all the local rock bands down there, I mean, that's my love. It's like, I love glam rock. That was my thing, man. And obviously, Kiss kind of started. I mean, people back then they called it heavy metal. Kiss is far from heavy metal, but I don't even know what genre to really put them. They're in a genre of their own, but glam rock was my thing all through high school.
Anyone that did anything like Kiss, in my opinion, they were very much a copycat. And so you could never actually do what Kiss was doing. You could only take little slivers of influence. I mean, unless you're doing what you're doing, which is you're supposed to kind of copycat in a sense, not in a bad way, but in a good way and in honoring them. But back then, other bands like the music industry, weren't they trying to get, well, Kiss is having success with that. Let's do it with the, you know, nobody could do it. I mean, nobody could even come back and fill in for the original band for a while. They kind of went, you know, a little down. Like Kiss is special. It's
which is weird when you. I mean, anybody who's into music in the music industry knows that. I mean, and it pains me to say because you know I love them with all my heart, but Kiss is mediocre. There is nothing about them. Like there isn't a single guitar player, drummer, bass player that says there goes, man, that is so like, man, that's so hard. That's so unique. They are simplistic, man, but they are showmen. They are musical theater. That's what they are. They are musical theater.
Yep.
And they realize, you know what? We aren't that great. We need to fill the people's minds with something other than just us. That's where all the explosions and that theatrical aspect of what they do is different than anybody else.
Well, and they don't suck at the music. They might not be great at it, but they're good enough at it, and they put in the rehearsal. I cannot believe young bands don't rehearse like, you know, Kiss does to this day.
Exactly. But dude, go back and listen to early Kiss records and, you know, and tell me that they're good, you know?
No.
Like, even, like, man, Paul's voice is, like, kind of scratchy, not scratchy, but kind of crackly. And, I mean, nowadays, obviously, he's 72 years old. I don't fault him for anything they do now. But back then, man, they just weren't that great. And when you watch all the documentaries about what they went through and how they realized, okay, we need to fake live shows on our albums because their live albums weren't recorded live. They were recorded in a studio, and then they threw in some live crowd sounds because that's what people know Kiss as, a live band.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
So to hear them without seeing them in the explosions and the blood and the fire, it's not the same. Like, I mean, I'm hardcore. I'll listen. They can sing. Okay, for example, Gene Simmons, when they did their solo album, he sings "When You Wish Upon a Star," and I love that. I love that song, and it's not great, but I love it.
But that's more because you're a Kiss fan, and it's cool and unique. But it's built on all of his other, like, right? There's that ambiance of who Kiss is behind it that makes that interesting in a sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're artists. They're, you nailed it. Theater. You nailed it. You nailed it, dude.
Dude, yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, they're like any other Broadway show out there, to be honest. I mean, you can't take a Broadway show and really kind of record it. You're not going to sit there at home and listen to it. You're not.
But if we make rock
songs,
so that it's in the format of these rock albums, then it won't come across like in other words, let's take the good that we want out of the Broadway and out of the show and put that into the rock. Is that
right?
Kind of what they did?
I think 100%. Absolutely. They took, like, again, and, to quote Paul, they created the band that they always wanted to see. If you ever listen to him, he never says the band we always wanted to hear. He always says, we created the band we always wanted to see.
Imagine.
So there's a big difference between the band I want to hear
and the
band I want to see.
Imagine MTV starting in the early 70s and Kiss comes around, or mid 70s or whatever, but imagine Kiss gets on, right, imagine 75, Kiss goes on MTV at that time in the same, like, because it's made for visual.
Instead of Video Killed the Radio Star, you've got I Want to Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day.
Killed the radio star.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I ain't gonna take nothing away from them. It's a good, all through high school, I was not that poppy guy. I didn't have the Flock of Seagulls hairdo. I don't wear anything pastel colored. I was always in high school. They called, I don't know about where you were at, but they called us heshers. I don't know where that comes from, but we had the long hair, the concert tees, the ripped jeans, the red and black flannel shirts, and we were smoking in the bathroom.
Right.
I mean, just like Motley says, and I know that's a remake, and I can't remember who did the original.
Brownsville Station.
Okay. But I know, obviously the Motley version. We, smoking in the boys' room, and we had our security guards there that would come through, and you'd flush all your cigarettes down the toilet. So, I was definitely not the poppy guy back then. I've got an appreciation for it now. All the 80s music, I can listen to any of it and love it all, but in my heart, I'm always going to be a true blue rock. Always.
Oh, 100%. I'm a Niner fan for football, but I'll end up sitting there watching a Raider game.
You're going to admit that on public radio?
I am. Because I'm also admitting.
I can make it worse. I mean, I don't really care anymore, but all my life I've been a Bears fan, so.
There you go. Yesterday we got our ass kicked, oh my God. I mean, it was bad. It was raining.
Dude, I don't have time to watch football anymore, or NASCAR. I love NASCAR too, so I don't have time to watch any of that stuff. I work 6-7 days a week, so.
Well, I'm a Niner fan, but I find myself watching Raider games because I like Derek Carr, and I like watching that team. And I grew up in the 80s. Like, you do not like the Raiders, or if you're a Raider fan, you hate the Niners. That's just, it's like Lakers Celtics, right? But in music, was it kind of like that too at the time, even though you respect and like the poppy stuff and you can listen to that now? Back then, we kind of had this is our music, this is what I like, and that's what they like, right?
Right. Yeah, back then, no, you would not catch me dead listening to Culture Club, Flock of Seagulls, Missing Persons. I did not listen to that. The only cassette tape, and yes, people, they used to make cassette tapes that went into a deck in your car that played an actual cassette tape. And you had a suitcase full of them in your vehicle. So I only had awesome. Poison. Yeah, you remember those days.
I do.
I mean, let's go back a little further. 8-track.
Yep.
Remember having an 8-track player in your car?
Yep, I remember.
I was a kid when we had the 8-track players, but
pushing the buttons on it,
having that.
Like pushing the button. Okay, fast forward.
Oh my God, you're making me feel old. Okay, yeah. So I had Poison, like I said, all the glam rock, Cinderella, Poison, Rat, Motley Crue, and Metallica, I like Metallica when they came in. Some people aren't big fans of theirs, but I can't play as good as them. I don't have their millions and billions of dollars.
Well, I gotta say,
criticize.
Metallica, they do rock, and they've proven themselves over the long haul. But I do have to say, you know, I appreciate that the lead singer, James Hetfield, I appreciate that he was able to take a disability like Tourette's and turn it into awesome music. Yeah. Like, I always imagined him going and ordering.
Right there. As soon as you say Metallica, what's the first thing you think of? Yeah. That's the first thing you think of.
I just imagine him walking up. Yeah, I'd like to get a coffee and a McMuffin. And a short stack and some fries. Like,
and a Diet Coke.
He can't control himself, so he decided to pour it all into his band. Man, that's my bit that I made up. I don't know if it's funny or not, but
dude, you nailed it. I mean, because dude, that's as soon as you say Metallica, all I hear is yeah. I mean, every frickin' song they do has in it at some point.
Like clockwork.
I don't think you can name a song that doesn't.
Yeah, try.
And if you can, I'll stand corrected, but I don't think you can.
I don't think so.
You know?
I got confirmation the bit was funny. Yes. Or excuse me.
Good. Well,
excuse me.
Yeah. Well, just like, okay, look at Gene. Gene does kind of the same thing. Like, he does that, oh, yeah, you know, a lot, you know. So there's something to be said for that. So, I can't criticize any of these dudes. They're multi-millionaire, billionaires, whatever they are. And here I am sitting in my underwear and socks talking to you, drinking whiskey. So, you know, I'm living the rock star life. I'm just not a rock star.
Yeah. No. Okay, enough of that. Yeah shit, Dad. Sorry, son. So
kind of going back to what you were talking earlier about other guys, and like I gotta tell you, I don't want to get too into what I do for a living or what I have done for a living, but I escorted the Rolling Stones to SoFi Stadium for their last performances here, both nights that they were down here.
Oh, my Aunt Sue, she was down there, and she called live from the show for an episode of Rock Stories with the Brummster, I swear. Aunt Sue. Okay. She's one of the episodes on here.
Had I known you, I would have called you from backstage.
Oh, my God, dude.
I picked them up at their hotel. I won't say where it was, but it was in Beverly Hills. I picked them up. I escorted them down to SoFi, and then they invited me and my partners to come in and enjoy the show.
Wow.
And we went down underground, took them into the green room. They fed us. Then we got to go backstage, and then they took us out in front of the stage, obviously, for the show. But Mr. Jagger himself, when he got out of his car, came back to me, introduced himself to me, which obviously you don't need to do that, but that's cool that he did that. And
right.
He gave me a guitar pick that says Rolling Stones, you know, with all the information from this tour. I have that here in my house still, but he personally handed me a guitar pick from the tour, and it is one of my treasured items, as well as I also had Gene Simmons sign my arm, and I had that tattooed in. So those are my two big claims to the rock world. And then we got to go, my partners and I got to go out and stand right next to the stage and watch the whole show. And then we escorted them out of SoFi Stadium back to their hotel both nights, which was an amazing experience.
Oh my God, this happened 2 nights. Now, wow, 2 nights in a row you got to experience this. And by the way, English manners. Wow, the manners of the British people. They're very, very polite people.
You know, yeah. Absolutely. Him, and I've escorted Ozzy Osbourne to the Forum in Inglewood. I can't say that I really made any contact with him, but his son Jack Osbourne is a very personable and an amazing young man, and I will always appreciate that. You know, when anytime anybody acknowledges what you're doing for them, it's appreciated. You know,
right.
I've escorted a lot of celebrities, and okay, this goes away from the rock genre. The most amazing person I've ever escorted was Garth Brooks.
Oh my! Hey,
he was here.
He rocks.
He was down here at the Forum. I escorted him 4 nights in a row to the airport and to his hotel. Every frickin' night, he came out of his limo. Him and Trisha Yearwood came back and introduced and shook the hands of every one of those of us that escorted him to and from. Hey, my name is Garth. Hey, man, I appreciate you being here. Hey, I'm going to see you tomorrow, right? Yes, sir. You'll see me tomorrow. All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. God bless. And, you know, he'd go back and do what he's got to do.
Wow. You want to talk about a megastar.
People, unfortunately, he's not a, you know, not rock, but.
No, but he's on Elvis's level. He's on Michael Jackson's level. Right. He's on Madonna's level. Garth is on that level.
When you say Garth, everybody knows who you're talking about.
Right. It's not Wayne's World.
I've escorted the Eagles. I've escorted, Garth. I've escorted Kiss. I've escorted, U2. I've escorted, God, you name it, I've escorted them. Nicki Minaj, Justin Timberlake, Ozzy Osbourne, man, anybody you can name that's played at the Forum in the past, 10 years, I've escorted them.
And we're talking, are they all like the Rolling Stones where they bring you in and allow you to enjoy the show, or do you have to be a little more, on the side sometimes for some of them?
Yeah, that's a big negative right there. The Rolling Stones are the only ones that ever invited us in and fed us and let us watch the show. At SoFi. At the Forum, we kind of had carte blanche at the Forum where we could go in and watch the shows like Lady Gaga. I've seen, you name it, I have seen them, okay, and I've escorted them. But again, there's only a few that stick out as, these guys are cool. Like, I've got a T-shirt here that U2 gave me for escorting them. Obviously, I was getting paid to escort them, but they went above and beyond to give us some T-shirts, which was cool. The Rolling Stones, though, nothing compares to those guys. I mean, we got shirts that said, official escorts of the Rolling Stones, such and such tour.
Yeah. Oh, that's so badass, man. You never want to wash it, probably, I mean, wow.
Well, I've never even worn it. I think I gave it to my buddy Justin Preston, who is the guy who hooked me up with you, who does a lot of writing. He's got some books out about 80s music and all that. I think I gave that shirt to him, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I've escorted everybody, just about everybody. You name it, I probably escorted them.
Wow. Age-wise, he's getting up there in age, but the guy probably can do more physically on stage than either of us. I mean, my goodness, Mick Jagger, can you believe it? What a physical specimen.
Hey, dude, you know what? I got to give it to him. Yeah, but I don't know if you've seen their latest tour. They've got 20 people on stage. It's not just them anymore,
Yeah.
So Mick does all the singing, obviously. But the rest of and this was right after Charlie had passed, so obviously he wasn't there. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the band was there, and they do very little, which is kind of sad. I mean, I get it. You're 80 freaking years old, and the funny thing is, when we were meeting with their security and everybody, all their handlers ahead of time of doing the escort, they're like, "Look, we're in no big hurry to get there. So you don't need to run lights and sirens. We don't need to run lights or anything like that. we're in no big hurry. I'm like,
Right.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
Just
And then
reading
they're
a
like,
book back here.
And then they're like, the Rolling Stones probably created the whole escorting thing to a show. Like, and it hit me. I was like, my God, you're probably right.
Yeah, in the
Who else would do it?
1960s.
Like, maybe the Beatles?
And then in the 1960s on, Elvis, I just watched that the other day. He had a gun in his, that was pretty good. But in the it's on Aunt Sue. Yeah, she is the ultimate fan. She's on in a thing called Fans on the Run, and it's a Paul McCartney. She's seen him like 118 times or something like that.
Well,
But back in the 60s in Fresno, she went and saw the Rolling Stones, and she told a story on Rock Stories with the Brummster Podcast episode. I can't remember. Go check it out, folks. Podcast on demand at the Brummster Spotify channel. That's with 2 M's, and also as well Sundays at 11 a.m. at Rock Radio 559 about her bum rushing the stage because the fans were going too nuts. And so they went and they hopped in their escape truck or whatever, which was like a Wells Fargo, like bank truck. And my Aunt Sue jumped up on the back of the truck and hung on and looked in as they were driving away and bouncing all over. And they were terrified in their eyes. And then she just like flew off the truck because she hit a big bump. And like, that's her story, is like, just scaring the living shit out of the Rolling Stones. So you're talking about why that they created potentially or started really needing escorts to shows.
Absolutely. And again, it's like their handler, their head of security, he says, look, Mr. Jagger's been doing this longer than any of us. If he feels like anything is unsafe, he's just going to tap up here and say, hey, let's go ahead and shut it down. And then I'll radio to you guys, hey, go ahead and shut it down. Mr. Jagger feels it's unsafe. So, again, how do I argue with that? He's been doing it longer than I have.
Yep. He saw the whites of my Aunt Sue's eyes hanging off of the back of that truck. Now, my Aunt Sue, she's just totally harmless and in love with these rockers.
In a roundabout way, you and I are connected,
Wow. So
wow.
Do you
think about that?
Think about that. Through all these generations and all these people who don't even know each other, we're like Kevin Bacon, right? 7 degrees, like we're right. Dude, there.
It's so weird, bro. Yeah, I've found a lot of weird things, kind of on that same 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Yeah. So you and I are connected. We didn't know it.
In many ways.
Right?
Aunt Sue, thank you. I love you, Aunt Sue. You rock.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, she does.
God bless her.
Fans on the Run. I mean, it's amazing how everybody has their favorite. And to kind of circle back there, I mean, it goes back to when you were a kid. You were putting on shows with your friends. With the action figures.
I'm sorry. Action figures, because we're men. We only play with action figures. We don't play with dolls.
Power. You
with the kung fu grip.
Yeah. From G.I. Joe. They changed it to where it wasn't. I watched the Toys in America on History Channel, and my wife and I were cracking up that they changed it like from G.I. Joe because people were pissed off at the military to like Action Joe, and then it plummeted sales. And then the 80s.
Dude, we grew up in an interesting time, bro.
Oh, man. We grew up with, make sure you eat
I think the best time, I don't care what anybody says, man, 70s and 80s, that was the time to be alive, man. Like experiencing the growth of music itself. Like, think of that change from 60s to 70s and 70s to 80s. What we've experienced, and then into the 90s and 2000s, to be fair. I mean, we've experienced so many changes, bro.
Right.
That these kids just, I mean, I'm sure once we're dead and gone, 30, 40 years from now, they're going to be thinking, oh, man, look at all the changes we've gone through. But man, your music is garbage. Everything you guys listen to is synthesized or fucking, I'm sorry for my cursing, sampled, there isn't anything original anymore.
Right.
There's no stories. There's no talent. Nobody plays an instrument anymore.
Unfortunately.
My God, how are you in a group or a band, or how are you famous without even playing an instrument?
Right. Right. And
Prince,
even
my God, Prince is like the greatest guitar player ever.
Yes.
I love Eddie Van Halen. I love, Clapton, dude, I've been drinking the whole time we've been talking. So, oh my God, Jimi Hendrix, great guitar players, but I think Prince is the greatest guitar player above all of them.
I never saw him, and I never thought that ever. And then suddenly I'm listening to a talk show in Fresno, driving around one day while I'm working my real job. How many jobs you have? Hey, man, I'm working my real job. And all of a sudden I'm listening to this guy. Is Ray Appleton. He's one of my radio broadcasting legend from the Central California area. And he's still doing a news gig, talk gig up in Fresno there, I think at KMJ. Does a good job. And he came on, and because he used to be a rock DJ before he became news talk. And he said to the audience, and I was listening, and he said, I'm going to come right back, and I'm going to tell you, great teaser, by the way, making us wait through the break and listening to the commercial, smart man. And he goes, I'm going to come right back, and I'm going to tell you who, in my opinion, just all the concerts I've seen over all the decades and all the artists, who the greatest guitarist is of all time. And all these callers are calling in, Eddie Van Halen, Jimmy, you have all these Clapton, just you like the list you just provided, basically, right? Of legends. And he comes on and he goes, well, I'm going to surprise you. Kiss, or not Kiss, Prince. I said Kiss because I got it on the note in front of me for you. Prince. What a trip. I was like, dude, wait a second. And then I've watched him with my wife and watched some concerts, and I'm like, holy shit, you're right. He's good. I'm
telling you, bro, if you look back through documentaries through the past, he did some weird stuff in the beginning, the eclectic, weird ass stuff before he became Prince, But dude, I don't think anybody plays guitar like him. I'm a bass player, so I don't have any skill. So when I see stuff like that, it just blows my freaking mind,
It proves that the music you're talking about and referencing that the kids today listen to, that's all synthesized and ran through computer programming
and
sampled.
Yep.
Right? It's not the same.
There's no music.
But Prince proved that you could play hip music that's of now, not of past, but still have the rockin' and the instrument, and because Prince
and still carry on 20, 30 years later to where people are like, my God, listen to that.
Yep.
You can feel that. That's one thing I love about our generation. At least I do. I can feel the music. I feel the passion that's coming through those speakers that these guys are playing for me. I feel they're playing for me. I don't care about you. I don't care about anybody. They're playing for me. And I feel it, man. Now I just feel like it's all about, here, I'm going to put this on. Give me some money.
Right. How many views can I get?
I love country music, too. I'm a big country music fan. But this crap that they put out now, I can't listen to any of it. There isn't. Country has always been that, my mama, my girl left me, my dog died, my truck ain't starting no more. There was always a story, and you can kind of relate. I don't care where you come from. If you really listen to old school country, you can relate to a lot of it, whether it's your kind of music or not.
Snoop Dogg loves it. He loves old school country. He loves it. Yeah.
I've met Snoop many a times, and we've never actually discussed any country music. I just don't think of when I see Snoop. Hey, Snoop, what do you think about that new Garth Brooks track?
He was on The
Man,
Voice.
That's for shizzle, my nizzle.
He
No, I
was
never
on The
got into
Voice. He was on The Voice. And obviously him and Willie are friends for other reasons as well. But he was on The Voice as a coach one
that.
week.
You're not referring to any like herbal connection, right?
Oh, of course I am. It's California. And absolutely, yeah. Snoop and who is it? Martha Stewart. Totally they're blazing together.
That's funny, dude. Dude, I would love to be in a room with Snoop and Martha Stewart while they're blazing up.
That would be funny.
I would love to be in there. Oh my God. Imagine the food we'd have first off. Right.
I heard Martha Stewart only does CBD. I think that she's still, which is great. It's great for inflammation, and you get these drops at the grocery store.
Many partners or people that I work with swear by it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
betcha.
It's amazing. It is amazing how these different characters, they all, Snoop, for example, there's a lot that he's doing that's synthesized, and, you don't have but he's musical. He's up there as the coach on The Voice. And he's talking about, there's a country artist on there, and he said it right there. He goes, I love country, like old school country. I'm like, I did not think that.
I agree with him. I agree with him 100%. Yeah. I've met him a few times. I've met, what's the guy with the weird hair? Busta Rhymes. I've met him. He's actually a real cool dude, too. Dude, I've met so many of these guys. I mean, hip-hop, rock, pop, even some of that death metal, like weird people, over the years. But for the most part, they're all pretty freaking respectful, and it's weird when you talk to them on a personal level. They're just like anybody else, man.
What was Bono like? You too. I've always wanted to
I
know.
didn't get near him. You kidding? No, he's so full of himself and about saving the environment, So that's all he cares about. He's kind of arrogant. So
really,
yeah. God, bro. I could talk to you all night about the celebrities I've been in contact with that aren't in the rock and roll and music field. So, but yeah, he's we weren't allowed to get anywhere near him. You can protect me, you can escort me, you can make sure I'm safe, but don't come near me.
Keep a distance.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of celebrities like that. One of them rhymes with a town in oh my God, France, and has the last name of a hotel chain, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Like, in other words,
so I could walk 2 feet in front of you through a crowd that are trying to tear you apart and protect you, but don't look at me. No. And some other people that might be a character on a Star Trek show, if that makes sense to you, if you're into Star Trek.
Yep.
Think about that one. It's a thinker, but they're very famous. There's a whole family of them, right. And they are some of the worst people in the world to deal with.
And they want...
My personal opinion, so anybody who wants to try to sue this establishment or anybody else involved, it's my personal opinion.
Well, the good news is we don't know what your establishment is, and we'll keep that secret. I don't think it's an issue.
Well, I mean, your establishment. I don't want them trying to come after you.
Oh, no, this is just rock stories and stories about people's opinions and experiences. This is all covered under the First Amendment, brother. It's all
there
good.
You go.
Yeah.
First Amendment, brother.
That's what it's all about. Who was it?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that want me to put myself or other people in harm's way for them, but don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't acknowledge me. And it's a sad, sad world.
Versus the Rolling Stones, who fed you.
Very, very appreciative.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing, amazing individuals. I would work. Look, their security said, man, if we were doing like a bus tour, I would take you guys with us everywhere we go, which was an honor to me and my crew. Just the fact that Mr. Mick Jagger and, you know, the rest of the crew and his security crew acknowledged us enough to say, you're the best we've ever seen or ever had. We wish we could take you everywhere.
Oh,
now,
man.
they could say that everywhere they go. Who knows?
Well, their lives are in your hands.
Exactly. So
right?
on a professional basis, it means a ton that they would be willing to take me and, you know, my boys across the world with them, or across the country at least, if it were a bus tour.
Wow.
They're like, no, just tell me where you're going to be and I'll be there, bro.
Yeah, you don't need to have us on a bus.
Shit.
I'll just be there.
Well, yeah, I'll rent a freaking trailer. I don't know what we're allowed to cuss or not. So
No, it's again, First Amendment. I've laid it out 100 times. I'm not going to, if I have to censor my guests and tell them what to say and what not to say, then that's a episode I don't need to play. And
I'm Irish Italian, so we're very
feel free. Yeah,
very passionate.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's the First Amendment. It's freedom.
I'm trying to keep it classy for you, though. You know,
like San Diego.
Keep it classy. San
Yeah,
Diego.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah,
well,
I that means the world to me that the Rolling Stones wanted me and my guys to go on tour with them, you know. So I'm happy with that.
That's rad. Well, I want our listeners to know, folks, if you're just tuning in right now, make sure that you rewind this episode. It was good. It was good. And Don, we have to. Yeah. That's Metallica all the way.
That'll make sense later once you listen back.
You're never, ever going to ever be able to hear Metallica without doing a preemptive yeah, and laughing about it, right? I couldn't stop myself. I heard Metallica come on the other day, and I was like, yeah. I was like, he's not even singing yeah, Brum.
I do that. Like, I've got this whole karaoke system at my house that back when I had somebody here living with me, we would karaoke on a regular basis. And just for the hell of it, we throw up Metallica, and both of us do the whole thing like, yeah, even when there's no need for a yeah. You got to throw it in there.
You have no choice. No choice. Even though you don't have Tourette's, like Mr. Hetfield, again, hats off to the man for,
Absolutely.
taking a negative and turning it into a positive. Yeah!
I've never actually, like, seen any, like, is his actual Tourette's like, yeah? Or is there some other thing that he...
I'm making it up. Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh,
yeah,
see,
he doesn't have a disability.
You got me going, bro. It's
a joke.
This whole time, bro.
Oh, yeah!
I was thinking, oh my God, the dude's got Tourette's, and he just screams, yeah!
Poor guy.
Dude, you suck. You suck so much, bro. Here we are, an hour into this, and I'm just now learning that you're full of shit. Yeah! You suck, dude.
I love it.
Oh, my God. Look, if you're listening to this, cancel your subscription right now. No, I'm kidding. The sloppy demon approves.
Oh, you rock.
Carry on.
Yeah!
Don't stop it.
No more yeah, please. Brother, we got to wrap things up. It's the end of the show. Ding, ding. I can't believe it. It's been almost an hour. And,
Ding, ding.
Let the ding, ding.
Do you listen to KFI? Is that what you were getting the ding ding from?
No,
from Tim Conway Jr.
I just thought in my head right now it's the last round. Ding ding.
Oh, that's funny because Tim Conway Jr. has a show on from 6 to 10 on KFI, 6:40 a.m. down here, and he does ding ding a lot. So that was just kind of funny.
See, we're still connecting through all these sides.
I'm telling you, bro.
Right?
It's simpatico. I mean, it's like it was meant to be.
That is awesome. Here's what I want to do. Because there's so many other stories to tell, and including some cool stories with non-rock stars. Hope you don't mind if we can have you back again for another episode, Don, in the future.
Well, it would be your absolute pleasure to have me back.
Nice. It would be. It will be. It can be, and it shall be.
Spoken as a true demon, as my Lord Gene Simmons.
Well, for me, I have to, make sure I always let people know that personally Jesus is my Lord and I'm a Christian, that's always been a trip because people are like, how do you cry? Because it's theater. It's not, I'm not watching, the Terminator and thinking that Arnold Schwarzenegger is really the Terminator. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, hold on. Wait. What are you saying?
Arnold.
No.
What?
No. He is the Terminator.
The Governator.
I've met him, and I've met the T-1000 also.
Dude.
Mr. Robert Patrick.
Oh my God, we have so many stories to tell. You have to come back, Don.
I'm telling you, I've met a lot of people over my years, brother.
You're coming back. Is he coming back, folks? The answer is yes. Hands in the air. I see him everywhere. He's coming back. Yeah! Don, you rock, man. Before we go, sloppy kiss. It's more than just a fun way to make out with your old lady. It is also a kick-ass band. Don, you play Gene, and
I do.
Again, before we let you go, remind our listeners how they can come see Sloppy Kiss, catch up with you in the internet sphere of things.
Well, the best way is on Instagram. I am approachable at official Sloppy Kiss. And then on Facebook, just Sloppy Kiss. And you will get to me. And hopefully my tongue can see you there.
Excellent. Don, I got to let you go. Thanks for rocking with the Brummster. I really appreciate you today, man. Thank you.
No, I appreciate you, Mr. Brummster, and I'm glad you're reaching out to us down here, down in the Hollywood area. My buddies at FastTimesBand.com, also at the Whiskey A Go-Go every Monday night. If you want to come on down and see a great 80s experience, you come and see them, and you will see from Sloppy Kiss there. I will guarantee you I will be there, me and my tongue.
Oh, and Danny. Don't forget Danny.
Danny from the Rainbow. She will be there most nights. But absolutely, Danny from the Rainbow Bar and Grill. Danny Inc. She's a beautiful, beautiful young lady. So those of you down here, you guys to come and check her out.
Nice. Nice. Rock on, man. Thanks for rocking with the Brummster, Don. Hang on for our engineers, bro.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
You too. Awesome. Don from Sloppy Kiss, also as well, friends of Jason Preston and our friends over at Fast Times. Whiskey A Go-Go every Monday night, and they're on tour as well, Fast Times. It's an awesome 80s rock show. Look it up. Check it out. Their Facebook channel also as well, Don. You rock. Sloppy Demon, Sloppy Kiss. Look it up on Instagram and Facebook and catch up with them. Go check out the show. Sloppy Kiss, man. It's probably not sloppy. It probably kicks ass. Don, are you still on the line?
I am here. Yes, sir.
One last thing. Something tells me you guys rock. That sloppy thing is totally a trick, isn't it? You guys totally
the
rock, don't you?
The sloppiness comes from the fact that I'm 50 years old. I'm short, and I might be a little chunkier than I should be. That's where the sloppiness comes in.
But the music is right on, like the show.
Look, like Eddie said when you talk to him, is we want to pay homage to Kiss. We're not here to make fun of them. We are here to pay homage to them. So, absolutely, if the music isn't spot on, we will not be there.
That's nice. Awesome. All right, Don, rock on, brother. Thanks for hanging on for me there, man. Hang on, I'll be right back. Check them out, Sloppy Kiss. Go check them out on Instagram as well, Sloppy Demon, Sloppy Kiss. It's Don. He totally rocks. We're glad to have him on today for Rock Stories with the Brummster, and we will have him back again. Check out all past episodes on demand at the Brummster Spotify channel, and also as well Sundays at 11 right here at Rock Radio 559. Get the app today, Rock Radio 559. And of course, at the Brummster Spotify channel, keep on rocking. This is Rock Stories with the Brummster. Rock on. Yeah, yeah!